The fact that Nick Nelson isn't real is destroying my life. Hello everyone! This is me before watching Heartstopper Season 3. I'm sure that my makeup is going to be like probably ruined by the end. This time I will be accompanied by one of my closest friends because we decided that we were going to watch this season together this time. Like I already explained on my YouTube channel a couple of months ago, maybe even like a year ago, I won't be doing any reaction to this season because I wasn't getting that much views, and in terms of the experience of filming back-to-back reactions to all the episodes, I would say that it wasn't really rewarding, like the experience itself. And so I decided that I was going to change concept, and that's why I'm making this, I guess, commentary slash reaction slash essay about season 3. And like I explained earlier, I will be accompanied by one of my closest friends. Can you come now? So we can already admire his wonderful sense of fashion,
Always.
the Nick Nelson Adidas shirt. In case this is your first time on my channel, I guess it's fair to know that I identify as our ace, and my friend here, who, do you want to reveal your name?
Do it.
Wolf?
Yes.
Okay. So who are you? I mean, what are you? Where are you on the spectrum of sexuality?
Gay panic. Well, I guess I would be on the A spectrum, I guess, but more like dummy. You know?
Okay.
Like I tend to be more onto guys,
Mhm.
but I guess my sexuality is a big question mark. You know,
Your sexuality is non-discriminating.
it's struggle.
It's a struggle. Fair.
Struggle.
That's fair. That's fair. Okay.
The next day.
This concept is pretty new for my channel. I've never done something like this, but I just wanted to explain a little bit about how this video is going to work. What I wanted to do with this video is talk about each and every one of the character and their specific storylines, and like go about like my thoughts on how the matter was adapted, like from the books and into the series, the changes that appeared and what I thought about them, while also treating you with some of my reactions, because I've watched 6 episodes of season 3 with one of my closest friends last night, and we did record ourselves, like sometimes whenever we were reacting very strongly to a scene and we wanted to like say something, or if just like something funny happened and we didn't wanted to talk about it. So this video is going to be cut with moments of that, like me and my friend watching the show and reacting, but this is more going to be a commentary slash review of season 3. So if that's not your thing, you can just click out of this video and you'll find many wonderful reactors out there, trust me. So first of all, did I like this season? Yes, of course I did. Again, if you're familiar with my channel, I've been pretty vocal about how much I love Heartstopper and especially Alice Oseman's works. Like everything they have written, I'm a big fan of. And I still think that as far as adaptation go and TV shows targeted to teenagers and stuff, Heartstopper is one of the best ones. I really think so. The first subject I want to address is something that's very dear to me. It's the Tori Michael storyline and also the Isaac storyline. Again, if you're familiar with my content, you probably know this already about me, but I feel like this is fair to disclose to any new viewer that this video might attract. I am our ace. I've been identifying as aromantic and asexual for over 2 years now, and I'm not going to like go into much details, but basically my coming out journey wasn't as straightforward as Isaac's has been. Like he managed to figure out he was our ace very young, I feel like, and the thing he has to face and the questions he had to ask himself, I feel like our experiences of our ace nature are very different, and still somehow they meet in the middle. I first figured out I was asexual when I was 17. I was in a relationship with my girlfriend at the time, and I just realized that something wasn't there, like something wasn't clicking. So I first discovered I was asexual then, and then years later, by reading Loveless and also like doing other reading on my own and talking with people and just like growing into the person I was, figure out that I was aromantic as well. So the fact that I experienced both of those identities separately before like having them together make it so that my experience with it was very different than Isaac's or even like Tori's. But obviously their storylines were still very important to me, like as a viewer. I want to die! Like Michael and Tori just exchanged eye contact and I want to die! And he totally forgot who Michael is because he hasn't read Solitaire, and I'm guessing they're just like, I mean, Michael isn't that noticeable in the Heartstopper comics. I mean, he is in the 5-volume, but yeah. And so this is why the ending of this season kind of puzzled me at first. I'm going to be perfectly honest and say that I wasn't very happy about the change in the Ferris wheel scene. It was one of my favorite moments of the Heartstopper Volume 5 and one of the scenes I was more looking forward to. So when the ace coming out didn't happen, I was lost and I did feel betrayed for like a couple of seconds. Like I actually felt it, in my body. I was like, why? What's happening? Why is Alice doing this? Like, what the hell? And then I just, watched the ending of the show and got to thinking, by the time I'm making this video, this is only like rumors, right guys? So don't take my word for granted if like by the moment I post this video there are still no news, but I think we are getting a season 4 because from what I've seen on Twitter, I think that the stunt double for Nick made a mistake and said something in a post on Instagram that hinted at Heartstopper coming back for season 4, which would make sense because again, this is only assumption on my part, but I don't think Heartstopper is like one of the most costly show for Netflix to produce. Like it doesn't like cost them a lot of money, I think. And in 3 years, I think they saw that the public is secured. Like people came back to watch this show again and again. And if we think about it rationally and logically, it would make literally no sense for Heartstopper to stop at this season when Volume 6 is still going to come out at some point and when we know as fans that this is not the ending of their story. You know what I mean? Like I don't understand how they could explain not adapting the rest when the audiences have been showing up. Like, I mean, again, I don't have the numbers, but I don't think that there have been like less people watching Heartstopper since it started. So yeah, it would be kind of dumb to not adapt the last part of the story, and especially like with this season, like the ending was very heartfelt, very cute, very touching, but it did not feel like the ending of a show. You know what I mean? It felt like the ending of a season, for sure, but a series, nah. So yeah, I think we are going to get a season 4, and my thoughts at the moment are that since Michael came around in the show so late in terms of time, I'm not sure, and I could be mistaken, but I think we do hear of him a bit sooner in the comics, at least how intricate his life has become with Tori. Like we do hear about it a lot sooner, I think. Maybe it just wasn't the right time story-wise to reveal this part of like Tori's and Michael's relationship, like the fact that they tried to have sex, and that's also why Tori is a bit hesitant to labeling the relationship because she knows Michael is in love with her, but she's not very like sure about her own feelings and her capacity to feel, and also she doesn't want to like put Michael in a box and like imprison him in a relationship if there's not going to have sex and like other things. Like it's basically like it's a whole thing. It's a very complex Aspec experience. But so maybe in the show it wasn't the right time, and if I believe the cinematography and the fact that like Isaac seemed curious too about like whether or not Tori and Michael were in a relationship and the way the camera lingered on him a bit afterwards, I think maybe we're going to have the ace, or maybe our ace Aspec, I'll say Aspec to be more like inclusive, Aspec storyline in season 4, and maybe we'll get Tori and Isaac scenes. I think it could be cool because to me, like personally, I feel like Tori is on the aromantic spectrum. So it would be very interesting to have 2 Arrow Ace characters but who aren't at the same point in their life. Like Isaac still like knows that he doesn't want a relationship, or like at least at the moment in time that he is, he doesn't want the companionship, like to be in a relationship, and he's just like okay being on his own. It's just like something he had to, you know, like accept and yeah, relearn about himself this season. But Tori, I mean, her relationship with Michael is it's so complicated and it's so pure and so wonderful, because like you know that she loves him so much, she does, and I do believe that her feelings for him are more than friendship. But that's the thing again with aspect relationships, and especially like arrow ace people, the way we like can love people around us, I feel like is so much more nuanced because of the way we experience attraction, or at least like the way we rationalize it and like are able to understand and to like, you know, like compartmentalize. I don't know how to say that in English, but I think you understood what I meant. Like the way we're able to like do that, like consciously and also unconsciously, it means that we can also like care and feel like really, really, really deep feelings for people, and still those feelings aren't romantic. That's commonly where queer platonic relationship happen, and I always felt like Michael and Tori's relationship was a queer platonic one. Now maybe other readers may have like another reading of it, and I think that's perfectly fine, because one of the reasons why I think Alice is so adamant to not have to relabel the relationship is also because, do we really care like whether or not she has romantic feelings for him or not, whether or not they want to call themselves girlfriend and boyfriend? Like we don't care. They love each other, they want to be with each other, and like that's enough. So if you have another reading of their relationship, that's fine. I still don't know what I think about the show version of Michael, because I just don't have strong feelings for him at all. Like his first meeting with Tori left me shaken and like, you know, overwhelmed. But seeing him in the show, I don't know, I just feel like Michael in the books was always like whimsy and intense. Tori and Michael's dynamics, they always reminded me personally of Coraline and Neverborn. I think that's his name in English. Sorry, I've always like grew up with the French version, but they've always felt like those two to me. And I don't think that the series adaptation of Michael feel like Neverborn to me. Like you can definitely say why Tori was like drawn to him in terms of his personality and his overall like demeanor, but yeah, I don't think that the Michael of this series gave me the same vibes as the Michael of the books. But it's not like there is nothing wrong with that, like it's okay, it still works. But yeah, I guess that if I had to have one complaint about this season, it would be that. So like I said, when this scene of the Ferris wheel happened the way it did, and Charlie said the thing about Tori and Michael struggling for straight people, and that Tori didn't say the thing, you know, neither of us are straight though. I was a bit shocked, and like I said, I felt kind of betrayed at first, but then I also thought that maybe they didn't do it because like that would mean that there are so many queer people in this show. And I mean, it is the case, because if we believe the comics, I mean, Michael and Tori are queer anyway, but you know, maybe it was a bit too much for season 3. So that's why I'm pretty sure we are going to get a season 4, and we'll get this scene in season 4, but like differently that it happens in the comics, like they already did before with other scenes. I'm not losing hope. I think I can trust Alice on this one. As for Isaac, like I said in the beginning of this video, my journey toward understanding that I was aromantic and asexual was very different than him. So I couldn't like relate entirely to his experience, but like there is no need. I don't need to have the exact same story as him for like feel for him and understand, especially with how oblivious Tao Elle and the other were being. Are they fucking serious? Like I love Tao Elle with everything in my heart, but like are they fucking serious? Even if they don't know that Isaac is like, oh, is that so not okay? That is so disrespectful. Are you kidding?
Charlie's been like silent ever since then.
The fact that he's the only one who noticed.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they're being so annoying. And the fact that the bed is also very small.
Isaac, please.
Don't leave. We love you. It's
We
all
love
good.
you.
We'll do this another time. Have a good one.
Oh,
it was so cringy. Oh, they fucked up.
Oh, they're being such terrible friends. It's one thing to make other plans and, you know, like be a bit into the honeymoon phase with like your partner and be all about them, and, you know, like also struggling maybe with the PDA, but sitting or like lying down in one tiny bed with your friend next to you and you making out with your girlfriend is really not okay, I think. And even if Isaac was an arrow ace and was just, you know, like hanging out like as a straight dude, like that's so messed up. Like, who does that, seriously? So yeah, that was funny. I'm talking about it lightly, but I'm glad that this conflict happened in the show because it really helped highlighting some of the struggles that arrow ace and aspect people go through whenever they're in a friend group and, like, you know, they're surrounded by relationships and stuff. And for Isaac specifically, it's even more difficult because, like, it's not only his friends like spending time with their significant others in his presence, it's his best friends being each other's significant other. And so the whole dynamic of the group, like the friend group, shifted and changed and transformed. And yeah, like I really loved what they did with this storyline. I wasn't expecting something else. I think it would have been cool to see maybe more of his friendship with other people. Like we saw James a couple of times in this season, but like the point wasn't really his relationship with James, which is also fair and makes sense because there are many characters in this show. I love Isaac and I always want to see more of him, but the little bit of storyline we had with his Aspec identity this season honestly was perfect to me. I hope they'll continue to explore it next season. Maybe, like I said, with him getting close to Tori, or maybe Isaac finding friends outside of the friend group we're all familiar with. This could also be interesting and nice because, like, when you think about it, Elle does have like the two other people. I don't remember their character names, so I'm not going to say them, but, you know, like, she has them. So I think it would be fair for Isaac to also have other friends and, like, for the audience to see it. And yeah, I think that's all I'm going to say about the arrow ace aspect of this show. But I think it was really good. It was really good. And like I said about Tori, I'm hopeful that we'll get the scene they took from us in season 4. Now, for the others, I kind of have the feeling that we didn't see Tara and Darcy as much this season, but I don't think that their absence was very noticeable. We had the very interesting storyline of Darcy discovering about their gender and, you know, like how they feel throughout femininity. Oh my god, that word is so hard, sorry. Femininity. Yeah, throughout their femininity and, like, their gender as a whole. I love how supportive everyone has been, and especially like Tara, and the scene they had, I think, after Darcy went to see her at her ballet class was very sweet. And, like, just again, like, heartstopper keep on showing us and giving us example of what a supporting relationship is like.
I just don't think I would have had the courage to explore being non-binary if it weren't for you. You made it feel so easy and joyful.
Non-binary?
Yeah. It's just a huge deal, and I didn't want to overload you with that, like, bomb drop.
It's not a huge deal. Unless you want it to be. It's just you. It's just me and you.
It was very good storyline. I also like the fact that it wasn't sensationalized or anything. Just like Elle and her relationship with her transness this season, like, I always liked the way Heartstopper is written because I feel like it finds a good middle ground between showing nasty stuff, showing how cruel and hard the world can be, and how difficult it can be for the characters and how sad it can be for them, but also, like, you always see the light at the end of the tunnel, and it's still always very hopeful. And yeah, like I said, it's not sensationalized, because in other shows I've watched about, like, about transness or non-binary stuff, like, I don't know how to say that, but most of the rep I've seen kind of felt this genuine in some moments. And granted, I am a cis woman, so first of all, my opinion doesn't really matter that much in the whole scheme of things. But I don't know, I feel like the Darcy storyline felt very more believable. Like if I compare it to what I can see of some of my students who do like go through some of the same process, it feels more like that. You know, like it starts slowly, you're wondering about stuff, you're asking questions, and then you try out stuff. You try out pronouns, you try out new names, you try out binders, but it's not like the focus of it, because Darcy is so much more than their gender and identity, you know? And yeah, I like the way they did this. I think like they also did it that way because, like I said before, they have many characters, and if they really had to take the time with each and every character to have the storyline, like the show would be like 10 hours long, honestly. So it also makes sense, but it feels lighter, like as an audience. And yeah, like I said again, I like the writing because it doesn't take the audience for an idiot, and it's not like, I don't have the word right now in English, but in French we have a word that say moralisateur, and it doesn't feel that way at all in the show. And that's maybe some aspect of like sex education and Outbreak High that I struggled with sometimes, because to me, as part of the audience, I can feel that some of the stuff that's written is because they're trying to speak directly to the audience and like tell us stuff, you know, like make us learn about stuff. And I don't know, I feel like that in Heartstopper, it can also feel that way sometimes. I mean, more in season 2, I think, but in this season specifically, since we're talking about season 3, it all felt like real conversations that like queer people can have with each other. And then we just happen to be here and like hear about it because it's a TV show and we're the audience. You know, maybe I'm not putting my point across right, but if you understand what I mean, please tell me in the comments and like tell me I'm not alone. I really liked Darcy's storyline this season. Their grandmother is amazing. Like, oh my god, like their mom sucks. I think we can all agree on that, but their grandmother was just like godsend. It gave like Pride, you know, flashbacks. I don't know if you've watched the movie Pride, but it was just so very genuine and cute and supporting and hopeful. And yeah, I'm really glad also like for Darcy as a character that they managed to get out of this shitty situation they were in. Because like I think if I remember correctly that they even said it so themselves, that if they hadn't like moved out and, you know, like had friends like supporting them during their journey of like learning about their gender and stuff, like this wouldn't have happened, or maybe it would, but like it would have taken much more, like much longer. And I don't know, I just love the message of everything. And I also loved Tara's storyline this season, because I think, if I'm not mistaken, that this doesn't happen at all in the comics. The Darcy thing either, like it doesn't happen. I mean, we always knew that Darcy didn't like wearing like skirts or like dresses and were a bit more like tomboy-ish, and I know that this was mainly possible because of the actor playing Darcy. I think I remember a couple of years back, but there were an interview or something, and a question was asked about this, like, what are we going to do with Darcy's character, since like you're you know, like a non-binary individual or like a trans person, like do you think this is something that could implement in the storyline? And I remember that the actor at the time said that it would be cool to see, but they weren't sure that they were ready to like play that on screen, because it's so close to who you are as a person that it could it's a big thing, you know, like to truly represent a part of yourself on screen when you're still like deep into, you know, like the first stages of like going through all of that. Like it's one thing to play a character, but to play a character who's going through the exact same thing you are, maybe it felt too close to home. But I'm really glad that they came around and, you know, like gave their all to this season, because I feel like this is going to do a lot of good in terms of representation towards like younger audiences and even like older audiences. So yeah, but I was sorry, I just like I lost myself there for a second. But yeah, I also liked like Tara's relationship with, you know, like studies and being stressed, because like, yes, she's a good student and she has great grades, but so many people assume that she's going to pursue some like grain, like, you know, studies, and they're putting pressure on her without even realizing it. And with everything like Darcy went through, like Tara also went through a lot, like as their partner, you know. And so when everything like came crashing down and she had that panic attack, I also love the fact that Charlie was able to guide her through it and help her. Like it's very great. Like it's always good, I feel like, to showcase how you can have a panic attack and like it's not the end of the world. Like again, it wasn't like, you know, that big thing. It was all too much. Like she was surrounded by love and by people who could help her, and that was fine. So yeah, I feel like maybe we didn't see that much of them, but also what we did see of Tara and Darcy was very well written, and I really liked all their scenes this season, whether it was between them or with other characters. Tao and Elle. Again, if you're familiar with my content and you've watched my previous heartstopper reactions, you know that Tao and Elle are probably my favorite ship, I think, of the heartstopper franchise. Like, obviously, I love Nick and Charlie and I will kill for them, but Tao and Elle, they're just... I don't know, man, they're special to me, okay? I don't even know where to start. Okay, I absolutely love how they touched the dysphoria thing with Elle. I think it was very well handled. I can only speak for myself as a cis woman, so if you're trans or non-binary and you like felt that maybe they didn't do such a good job, please let me know in the comments. I really want this video to be a way for us to have a dialogue about this season and, you know, like the representation we've seen. But yeah, I really liked what they did. I love the fact that in their scene, Tao was like trying to reassure her with him saying, if that makes it easier for you, I don't see you as a trans girl, you know, like you're just my girlfriend, I love you. I mean, I know it didn't like, I mean, the line didn't go that way, but you know, that was the feeling. And I like the fact that Elle replied what she said, you know, like, that's nice, but I am a trans girl though, and that's a big part of me. That's not all I am, but that is a big part. And when it comes to, yeah, being intimate with you and my relationship to my body and your body, well, maybe it's going to be harder. And I like the fact that she had someone to confine in with. I think that's Nomi. Nomi, that's her name, right? I'm sorry if I'm wrong about that, but I love the fact that we could see that she could have someone to talk to if she needed. And I love the way they resolved it, you know, like them flirting and wanting to be closer and, you know, trying out stuff, and then Tao being like very dramatic about it and like telling all their friends. And I just love that. And I love how by the end of the show they kept the Elle from the comics, where Elle was very sex positive and very, you know, like, I mean, she wanted that tea with Nick and Charlie. And I think that for her as a character, it also reflects how maybe well adjusted she is in her own skin and her own sexuality, and, you know, her own sexuality with Tao. Because if she can be such a positive like person around this subject, and, you know, like being playful with asking question with Nick and like forcing him to buy lube and condoms and stuff, like it just showcases that like sex is not an issue. I mean, of course it's very different like whenever you're having sex and whenever like your friends are having sex, you know what I mean? Like you could totally like be sex positive and have a shitty sex life and not being like happy and stuff. But I don't know, to me it felt, in terms of her storyline, like a natural progression. And yeah, the proof, I guess, kind of, that sex is a subject that she's very comfortable in, and that's very cool to see, very great to see. I also love that Tao find like a patient, and that his patient was something that his dad loved as well. Like it makes perfect sense for his character to be obsessed with like making movies and stuff. And I really like this idea of Elle being an artist and like painting or, you know, making art, and Tao also being a creator of something. And like, don't even get me started on the fact that he made a movie for Charlie and then he made a movie for his girlfriend because he's totally obsessed with his girlfriend. Like, just thinking about it, like, it's getting me emotional again, because that scene was so beautiful. Like him being like, that's how I see you, you know, and like the movie, and it was just hell, like laughing and being with their friends and being happy and just being, you know, like you can see like I am getting emotional, but it was so romantic and beautiful, and I just love them a lot. And I'm very happy about Tao's character development, because at the end of this season, the fact that his first reaction when Elle told him about wanting to go to Europe to study, the fact that the first thought he had, and you could see that it was sincere, because even on his face, like, it was like, oh my god, that's such a great idea. And then his brain went like, well, we'd have to find a solution then, because obviously I'm going to come visit you, and so I need a job. I love that. I love the fact that they did that, because Tao 2 seasons ago would definitely have not reacted that way. And again, to us, the audience, that show us how much he's grown as a character, but also how secure he feels in his relationship now, especially with the beginning of this season and the whole like Elle doing her year like some places, you know, and them maybe having less time to spend together, and him being really freaked by that and afraid that maybe like Elle was going to move on without him. Yeah, I feel like, again, very good character development, like his storyline, I mean his arc this season came full circle, and that's great. I'm really curious about like what kind of storyline he could have in season 4 if there is a season 4. I'm wondering, be careful, I'm going to mention a spoiler in case you're not caught up on the novellas and everything Alice Oseman ever wrote about Aspec and stuff, but I do wonder if they're still going to make them break up for a bit. I think it would be interesting if they did. It wouldn't have the same angle, obviously, as in the novels, but I think it would be interesting to have them being, yeah, broken up for a bit and then, you know, coming back together. I think that's pretty much everything I had to say about like Tao Elle, because that's like the basic, like that's the main thing that happened with them. I already talked before about like the whole hair thing with the radio, and again that was so very important because like so many people, and that is so annoying. Like as a queer person, people don't realize that whenever they talk about their lives, like, you know, especially like our rights to do or not do stuff, our rights to get married, our rights to adopt, our rights to, you know, go to the bathroom, like stuff like that. Like it's not something that's abstract. It's not a discussion. You're talking and discussing about the real lives of real life people. So like, be empathetic, like don't, like just don't do that. And I really, really love the way they address that in the show, because I felt like the message we got from it was exactly the right one to send.
Trans identities are the hot topic of the moment. Some call it a culture war, feminists versus trans activists and so on. I think it's so important we hear all voices and opinions, so I'd love to hear your thoughts on the debate.
Trans people aren't a debate, we're human beings.
Before I start talking about Nick and Charlie, I just wanted to come back real quick on Sahar and Imogen storyline. My friend and I, when we watched it, like we were so shocked, flabbergasted to see Imogen and Sahar just randomly making out at a party. Like, what the fuck? What the hell? And Nick's reaction was priceless. He's always there whenever sapphic shenanigan happens. Like he has a radar or something.
Pardon? What?
Non, Spencer, je suis désolé. He will go my dog.
Oh.
Bye, dog.
Since this is something that's totally like new, because Imogen doesn't exist in the book, I'm very content with her storyline. I hope people weren't disappointed that they didn't like dive into her whole like comfort and everything like that much. I think we'll see more of it in season 4 if there is a season 4. Imogen's storyline was very low-key this season, and I think that's for people who don't know what comfort is, it could be easy to miss that that's what they were trying to do. But I still appreciate them trying to put that into the show, and you know, like Nick and Imogen talking about it and Imogen putting words to it, because I might be wrong, but again, in terms of representation, I think this is the only time I've seen comfort being referenced.
I think I kind of felt like a pressure to have a boyfriend because I was a cool girl, and that's what cool girls do. And I think I liked having attention from boys. It made me feel important and like I was doing life right. I don't think I've ever liked a boy, actually, when I really think of it.
Like the only other time I've seen something similar was again in Glee with Santana. That's the only lesbian character that I've seen like exploring what comfort is. Maybe there are others and I just don't know because I haven't watched those shows, but I don't know, I feel like we don't really see those storylines, which is weird because it's a big part of the sapphic experience for a lot of people. So I'm glad that Heartstopper went ahead and just did it. And I like the fact that they kept things a bit blurry for Imogen, because she is on this journey of learning about herself and, you know, asking herself questions and maybe like shifting her perspective on things and, yeah, understanding like who she is and what she wants now in the world. And I feel like that's fair, that it's taking time for her. I also personally like the fact that she's not in a relationship with Sahar. I wouldn't be opposed to them like falling in love and being together in season 4, but I think that as far as storytelling goes, it's more interesting to have another almost Nick and Charlie story, but having it not being a Nick and Charlie story. And what I mean by that is, Sahar said it, that like Imogen was the way she like understood that she was bi. And so that's also why like it hurt so bad, you know, that Imogen was such a boy's girl and why she took her distance and everything. And not only is that very realistic, because like it happened to every sapphic at one point in existence, I think. And yeah, it's so not only is that really realistic, but also, like I said, it showcases more variety, because not every person who made you discover things about yourself is going to be the person you end up dating. Like that's just not how it works. And since we already had Nick and Charlie, and I guess we could say that Tara and Darcy, in a sense, was also that kind of storyline, because Tara figured out she was a lesbian by being with Darcy. So like we already have those storylines. So yeah, it's just refreshing to like see something else, like another perspective. Again, not opposed to them ending up maybe together in season 4, but I like the fact that if they do go that route, that it's going to take time for them. I also like the side characters. Everything they did in the show, they did in the comics. So at this point, am I praising the show or am I praising the comics? But the therapist was great. Nick's aunt was amazing. Since Olivia couldn't be there this season, like the fact that this is his aunt saying that to him, and the fact that she's a psychiatrist was a very good choice in my book, I think. I'm very glad that Charlie's mom came around with like everything. It also happened in the books, but seeing it on screen was great. The scene where Charlie told his mom and his dad and Tori, I guess, what he was feeling, like this was very emotional. I was wondering how they were going to do that in the comics, because in the show, because in the comics he starts saying what's wrong, but then, you know, there is some kind of like fade in even in the comics. So I was worried they were going to do that in the series, because I really wanted to hear what he had to say. This scene made me cry. It was really touching. And the last part of this video, I guess, is going to be about Nick and Charlie. I still feel like their story is wonderfully adapted, but we can't like neglect to applaud Kit and Joe, because they're still doing an amazing job.
Sweet back.
I love you.
Oh, the title of the song being the best day of my
You
life,
don't have
please.
to say it back. I just wanted to tell
Charlie,
you
shut the
that
fuck
I
up.
see you
Oh
for
my
a
God,
few
shut the
in a
fuck
movie
up.
too.
Aww. And the little
I
flower.
love you so
No,
much.
shut up.
You're not just saying that because I said it. Oh, Charlie.
Charlie. Oh.
Come here, you idiot.
Oh, that was looking hot and cute.
Bitch, what?
The way he whispered it. I also love the song, and I love this scene. I love it so much.
I love Little.
Because you're Charlie.
And I love you for that.
You love me.
Oh, sorry.
Excuse me. Oh.
Oh,
Okay.
this season was intense, and oh my god, like oh my god, I love the way they depicted intimacy between them. You know, like the little like electricity, like the little sparks. I loved how they, you know, like showed us that it's hard to be in a relationship with someone who's mentally ill. Like it is hard, not only for the person who is mentally ill, but for the other party as well. Like, I always like that part of Heartstopper with Nick and Charlie's story, because it showcases that even if you're the best partner you can possibly be, like I think we can all agree that for a 16-year-old, like Nick is an amazing partner. And especially like for Charlie, he is an amazing partner, but it showcases that even though you try your best to be there for someone whenever they're like going through something like this, whenever you're like empathetic, whenever you're like you know, like researching on your own, whether you're there to listen to them, to comfort them, there are still going to be moments where it sucks, and maybe you can like both get angry and get frustrated, and you know, like just feel bad, because I feel like there is some kind of a taboo nowadays, especially on social media, where it feels like people are always quick to diminish and judge whenever someone who is close to or in a relationship with someone who's mentally ill, they're always quick to like diminish their pain and their suffering. And now, don't make me say what I haven't said. I'm not saying that it's harder for the people around the person who's like mentally ill, but we can all agree that it's not a walk in the park either. Like, not only is it hard to like live like yourself, you know, like maybe to like adapt to mood changes, or, you know, be patient whenever you don't want to be, and know how to not walk on eggshells around someone, or either like do it if this is something they need. Like it's really, it can be hard to adapt yourself to the needs of someone who goes through something like that, but it's also hard to just see the person you love suffering and you're like hurting themselves, and, you know, being so negative. Like I feel like people like nowadays there really is like a harsh judgment, or people who voice out any concern or maybe frustration or anger towards their partner or family member or friend who is mentally ill. I haven't seen the reactions online yet. From what I've seen, I think that people are actually like harsher on Charlie than Nick, so okay. But what I liked, what I think this storyline is bringing on the table is, like I said before, that you can try to be the most perfect person that people need. Sometimes it's not enough, but it's not enough because you're not enough. It's just not enough because life isn't that easy. And I've always liked this part about Charlie's and Nick's storyline, and I do think that they're meant to be together. That's why it's so gratifying to see them go through hardships, because, you know, I mean, as someone who read the comics, and even just by looking at them, that they'll probably always find a solution, because they're smart, they're emotionally intelligent, they talk about stuff, and they love each other so much, to the point where they each try to put themselves first every time. And I think that's why their relationship like works. There is also a lot of codependency, don't get me wrong, and it is addressed in the shows. I've always liked the fact that this story doesn't glamorize being in love with someone who is mentally ill, and, you know, like the whole love can cure everything. Like, I just love the fact that it's not doing that. And the message at the end.
I think I've realised that even though I love Nick, I need other people. My sister, my parents when they're not being annoying, my friends, the therapist. And that doesn't mean our relationship isn't strong. In fact, I think we're stronger now than ever.
Relying on one person, even if it's like in friendship, like it's so dangerous. Like, do not do that. We are social creatures, we are a society, we need a number of people. We can't rely on one person. No, don't do that. I've talked about it before, but I really love the way the intimacy was portrayed in this show, because I feel like this was, again, great lessons to give. There has been a shift in mentality on social media and in recent media nowadays, where we're questioning sex and what it means, and what counts as sex, what doesn't count as sex, what we do with consent, what we do with, you know, like other stuff. And so it's not like a new thing. Like, Heartstopper didn't like revolutionize anything, but they have an approach to sex that I find very positive and uplifting and realistic. And the fact that there aren't really like sensual moments in the show are good, I think, because, like I said before, it means that younger audiences can watch this show and still be informed and still see like what making love looks like on screen, but, you know, it's more like family friendly. And I feel like it's like we need to have those shows, because granted, I'm not familiar with everything that's like out there, you know, and not only on Netflix, but like on every streaming platform or even in other countries and stuff. But something I noticed is that we have not many TV shows targeted to younger teenagers. Like, we have good shows like Sex Education, at least the first 2 seasons, and Outbreak High, who try their best to really give out good representation and like inform, you know, like younger generation and even like older generation about like new stuff. Like, specifically like on this channel we're talking about like queer identities and stuff, so like this subject matter altogether. There are shows that do their job and do it well, but I've always felt like those shows were always very sexually charged. It does make sense, because especially in the case of Sex Education and Outbreak High, like that's the basis of the show, like that's what the show is about, so it makes sense. But where does it leave like younger teenagers, you know, who are also questioning themselves and falling in love and maybe like experiencing attraction to someone of the same gender, or maybe like experiencing gender dysphoria and stuff like that? Like, where does that leave those teens? Of course, I'm not naive, and I'm aware that a 15-year-old is going to be able to watch Sex Education or Outbreak High if they decide to, but still, there aren't a lot of shows catered to younger audiences. that really delve deep into mental health and what is good or not when you're into a relationship, and you know, like again, like discovery about your gender and your sexuality and all of that. Like there aren't many, at least not that came to mind. Maybe I'm wrong and you can tell me so in the comments, but I feel like, especially at a time like this, shows like Heartstopper are so effing necessary in our culture. Like, I'm almost 26, and whenever I was growing up, the best queer rep I had was Glee. That's so messed up. Like, I'm so sorry, but that's all I had. I mean, I had this, and I had, I guess, Queer as Folk, but even when talking about Queer as Folk, like, this is such an adult show. Like, it's not normal that me as a teenager had to find representation in shows that were obviously not targeted to my demographic. But we were so desperate at the time. Like, there were so little representation in the media that didn't end up just being about like depression and suicide and just, you know, like basically showing you that being gay or like queer, you were going to suffer in life. Like there was so few that we just watched whatever we could find. And so again, this is why I'm so like grateful for Heartstopper as a TV show, because we're in an age of TV where we have way more representation, and teens today, or even like adults, we can choose whenever we want to watch something or not. I still think that Heartstopper is very important, and what I love about Heartstopper is that it's a mix of so many things. Like, the show, compared to the comics, give us so many more stories, so many more depth. I'm really curious to see what the discourse online will be, because I've seen so many people say that Heartstopper was way too sanitized, you know, like as a show. And I mean, all those people who were like mad for some reason that they weren't having sex every episode. I wonder what they're going to think about this season. I'm sure they're going to say that this is too vanilla and cringe and whatever. Thinking those kind of things is dumb, because we are at an age of TV where we have way more choices than we did whenever I was a teen, for example. And so if you find Heartstopper cringy and too vanilla and not realistic and bad representation, or like whatever reason you have for not liking this show, this is fair. This is your own opinion that you're allowed to have, but you also know that you're allowed to not watch it if you don't like it, right? Nobody is forcing you to watch those shows. You can create yourself a space where you will never hear of Heartstopper ever if this is what you so choose. But yeah, complaining that there like isn't enough sex in it or stuff, when this is one of the only queer show that's family friendly and that explore like such a variety of topics, I feel like it's just like, again, it's just dumb. Like, just watch something else. Like, you have so many options. Why open your mouth and complain? This is really like something I never could understand. Thank you so much for watching. I have no idea how long this video will be, but I'm guessing at least 40 minutes. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'm very curious to know what you thought about this season as a whole. The new plot lines, the changed plot lines, whether or not we're going to have a season 4, what you would like to see if we're going to have a season 4. Like, since volume 6 is not done being written, please tell me your theories and your wishes for the end of Nick and Charlie's story. You can follow me on Twitter if you want. I mainly talk about K-pop and, you know, like my life as a librarian and stuff like that, but you can still follow me if you want to. And I guess you can follow this channel if you want more content, because I will definitely be doing the same kind of video I did just now for Heartstopper season 4, if we do have Heartstopper season 4. And if you enjoy K-pop and reactions, you can also subscribe, because that's what I'm mainly posting nowadays. Yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it and you enjoyed this season. And yeah, see you next time, hopefully. Bye!